Welcome back to Sutton Says, the highly anticipated, the probably most requested person that I've had as a guest so far. We're here with the boss man, Jason Stokes, the ringleader of this Hollins football program. How you feeling, Stokes?
I'm doing awesome. Thanks for having me, Coach.
Love to have you. Yes, sir. He's stoked.
I'm stoked, yeah.
And quick shout out to our sponsor, Pure Culture Vodka. Make sure you guys get PC'd. We're still working on that tagline with them. That's all they gave me to work with. But either which way, we're not here for that right now. We're here for Big Stokes. So a lot of people see me post and they see how much time I've spent here over the last year and a half. A lot of the times they ask me what keeps me here, and I tell them, like, I have full belief in the head coach. I have full belief in what Stokes is doing. What makes you you? We're just going to go straight to it.
Wow, that's a pretty broad question. Lots of learning from mistakes, learning from other people's mistakes, learning what works, as far as what it takes to be successful and what not to do to be successful, and I just try to apply that. And of course, just having, mental toughness, and just trying to apply that to all, facets of my life, as far as work, as far as being a father, as far as being a Christian, and obviously as far as being a coach and being a leader, and just knowing people are responsible for you, just trying to take, all those ideals and apply them. And like I said, I haven't always been this way. I've definitely, built up to this, probably in the last, decade, 20 years, right. But it's been fun. It's been a journey.
I was going to say, you said 20 years. You've been coaching about, 20, 25?
My first head coaching job, I was a 12U head football coach up in Queens, New York.
Nice.
And, so that was 2001. So it was right after 9/11.
Yeah, because you were on Wall Street before that.
I was. So it was kind of during 9/11, like I said, 2001. And like I say, coached that team, and that's when I really fell in love with coaching. And then the next year, man, I'm a cold turkey, sold everything, sold the house, and bought a place down here in Tampa, and then the rest is history. So what's that? 23 years coaching.
Dang.
Wow.
And you were born and raised up north, correct?
Born and raised up north, so half in New York, half in D.C. area, when my parents split. But yeah, it's different. It's different, so just growing up there, just dealing with the weather and the people, it's just different, not to say anything's bad with down south. I mean, we love it here. We moved down here to raise a family,
right?
But just up there, you just get kind of hardened, and like there's no room for excuses, and it's just so competitive in everything you do that it's good as far as a mindset, comes, so
yeah. It'll definitely get you battle tested and get you ready to be mentally tough. Yeah. And then once you get down here, you kind of just gotta
100%
thug it out.
One sec, let me shut my phone off. These stupid.
I was gonna say. Yeah. So just to let you guys know, that's all day long, Whether it's lifts and his phone's running the music, whether we're on field, whether he's recording practice, no matter what it is, that thing is going off. And it could be anywhere from a mom asking if he's seen a kid. It could be his wife telling him, make sure you don't miss your appointment tomorrow. 100%. It could be one of the other coaches.
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, the 12U job was your first coaching job. Then you moved down here. So what was your coaching path before you became head man here?
So first thing I did, I was the head JV coach and defensive coordinator at Tampa Riverview across the bridge.
Nice.
So I did that from 02 to 07. And then my first head coaching job, I was the head coach at Bloomingdale High School.
Okay.
So I'll give you like a little bit of each. So at when I was a DC and head JV coach, we went undefeated JV, which is super cool. Awesome. And it's so weird, man. It's like when you start off coaching, and like everything's going right, everything's good. Like you almost think, wow, you know,
I could do this at the NFL level.
Yeah, I could do this anywhere, you know. And you think every season goes like that, you know. And like with in that river, we didn't win the state championship, but you know we had a decent number of kids. It's before they built all those other schools out there. So I mean, we were in the playoffs every year. You know, we had tough kids. You know, kids going to college. Some of those kids went to the league.
Yeah.
You know, and then being a head JV coach and winning. You know, I think I lost like 2 games in like 5-6 years, you know, it was crazy.
It's habitual.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, you just think it's, oh, wow, this is just, you know, Florida football. It goes like this all the time. You know, and then I got my first head coaching job at Bloomingdale, and it was a rebuild. Bloomingdale at the time had never won a playoff game, had never had a winning season. And, I mean, by the grace of God, we went in there with a staff, and we got those kids' mindsets right, and we got it turned around, and we had the first winning season, first playoff appearance. Now, our gift for first playoff appearance, we went to Lakeland.
I was about to say Armwood.
And yeah, you know, and they had the Pouncey twins.
That was
they had
Rainey?
Chris Rainey, Ahmad Black, you know.
You
So
played against that team?
Dude,
What
it
was
was
the
no
score?
joke. Oh, I mean, we scored. And I think the biggest thing, we were just so happy that we scored twice, man. So
That's huge.
That was just the biggest thing. We had a few stops and we scored. Now, granted, they might have had like their third team in by then.
Well, their third team is
yeah,
what?
no, their
Dunkley,
third team,
Chris
exactly.
Dunkley or whatever?
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, exactly. So, but it was just so cool, and just that season was just magical. You know, the first, you know, out of school and whatnot. So, and then from there, I got recruited from a principal that I knew to go take over Tampa Middleton. So I was at Tampa Middleton for 3 years. We went 500 each year. We beat our big rival. That's really what they cared about the most.
Cool.
But you know, I kind of got caught. I got caught with a new principal and a new AD who didn't see things the way I saw them. You know, and it was crazy. I mean, he basically told me, in so many words, I wasn't black enough to coach at Middleton. You know, so because you know, it's crazy, the craziest thing I ever heard. You know, he just didn't think
this
it
ain't
was
Jim Crow era.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, you know, whatever.
That's
so
the
I was like, are the
racism.
kids' grades getting better? Yes. You know, are we, you know, I mean, winning games? Yes. I mean, yeah, we're not going to state, you know, playoffs and stuff, but we're winning games. You know, are we beating our rival? Yes. You know, are the kids more respectful in the hallway? Yes. You know, but whatever. But anyway, it is what it is. The guy who took over after me didn't win a game for 2 years.
Would you look at
you
that?
know, so whatever. Anyway,
Was
so
he black enough at least?
yeah, he's. I guess so. Friggin' they called him friggin' rolling dice in the back of the friggin' locker room with the kids. You know?
Yeah, you know, there's a line.
So, yeah, exactly. So I, it's just wild. But anyway, everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
So from there, I went to Gaither High School, Tampa Gaither, and from Gaither I went. I was there for 6 years. So I was at Gaither for 6 years, went to the playoffs every year except one, went to the 4th round 1 year, which was really, really cool. And
Shout out to Coach Brad.
that's my
Gady.
boy. Yeah, he's like my right hand. He does everything around here, man. Amazing. He's fixing lockers now. But so just had a great experience there. Good kids. You know, and it was weird. Like at Gaither, when I was at Middleton, like we had nothing. You know, and then you go to Gaither, which was on like a different side of town.
Yeah.
And dude, we didn't have to want for anything. Like
Yeah,
I
NFL
had,
cats.
you know, exactly. I had, you know, 2 crews of parents, you know, painting fields, doing fundraisers. I mean, we were the first team to have a second set of helmets in the whole county.
Dang.
And it was really cool, man. You know, so like, so that was a really fun experience, you know, doing that. And then I left Gaither and went to Indian Rocks Christian. So I went to Indian Rocks Christian, and I had a good year there. But again, you know, you get caught up in new leadership, you know, and if you don't know much about teaching at a private school, they can do what they want to who they want, whenever they want, how they want.
Right.
You know, they didn't treat me bad, but I don't want to say anything bad about the school because, you know, they're good people, but the leadership and I didn't see eye to eye.
Happens.
So I ended up leaving there, and then I went to a school in Polk County called Lake Region High School. It was another complete rebuild. They were just god-awful, as far as ones they hadn't won a game in like 3 years. We got the program turned around. We almost won 3 games. It was that close, but it just didn't happen. So anyway, from there, I got recruited to come take over Pasco High School. So I was at Pasco for 3 years, had a winning season, went to the playoffs twice, beat our big rival Zephyr Hills. But then again, you kind of run into, a principal who's, they say one thing, in interviews, but when it comes down to nut cutting time, it's a little different, So, and I'm always going to be about the kids. So if it costs me my job to do things the right way, then that's just what it's going to be. And I'll just move on to a place, that does see eye to eye and wants to raise these kids and coach these kids the right way and make it about what it's supposed to be about. And then I got a call from our former principal because he just moved to a new school. I got a call from him and a call from my friend who was the preceding coach for me to come help him out for his last year until he retired and then take over the program here. And that's kind of where we are now.
Dang.
Yeah, it's been a friggin' trip.
And it sounds very corporate America. I think people misconstrue how football works. The same way that they see the NFL level, a new GM comes in, he's liable to clear house. I need a new quarterback. I need a new GM. That's my guy. I need this. And these principals and athletic directors, they almost run the same exact way.
Right.
My buddy that was right now he's at Texas Tech, but he was at Miami the year before Manny got there.
Okay.
So he's pumped. He's like, oh, cool. Manny's getting promoted. Probably going to keep the whole staff. Everyone's going to stay on board.
Yeah.
No. Clean shop. See you later. Goes to Rutgers. They bring back in Shiano after his first year there. Boom. See you again.
Out of there, yeah.
Goes to Baylor. They hit big, have a good bowl win. This time he has to move, but it's a paid upgrade position.
Gotcha, yeah.
Texas Tech. So if it almost seems similar to you where, hey, this didn't work out, but you don't just hang it up.
Yeah.
Then you get to a point
you're
at
in this
Hollins.
for a bigger reason, yeah.
So last season,
Yeah.
some people know how last season went for us. It wasn't really awesome.
No, it was tough to watch the kids go through that. But, if you just keep in the back of your mind knowing that these kids don't really know how to win yet, you just kind of, our staff, and I've been super blessed to have an awesome staff, and I see my staff busting their butt. I see the work getting put in. I see the film time getting put in, but just knowing that the product on the field just isn't really reflecting, the work being put in, so we know it's just going to take time, so just watching that is still tough, for the kids. I mean, and thank goodness we didn't have many seniors last year, and like that was their final experience. We only had 2, and they were both new to football too. So
great kids too.
Yeah, great kids. So we just had so many kids who have never really played football hard or are new to football out there. And Florida 6A varsity football, in a tough district, and we just got our tails handed to us, and like it was tough, man. It was tough, to come in every Monday to watch the film, to get the kids up, to do it again, because like I said, these kids they're not really battle tested, But my staff just did an awesome job to keep the energy and to keep, what's important, staying important, and just understand that. You keep working, keep with the process, it's going to get turned around. So, like we're just basically trying to listen. Last year was last year. This year is this year. Any successful person in the world doesn't dwell. You learn from your mistakes, but then you got to put the blinders on and move forward, and just don't make the same mistakes, So that's kind of been our mindset and our what kind of drives us, and kind of what matters now. Make things important to you. All those little things that we even have it on our shirt. Make it matter. So that's kind of the mindset. Just trying to forget about last year. Understand last year had to happen. It was new, and they understand. You can't appreciate good until you've been through bad.
Facts.
So that I think is really giving us a lot of energy going into this season.
Was that you say your toughest season, coaching, playing, otherwise?
I wouldn't say it was.
I like how the lightning.
Yeah,
hit right
I know,
on
right?
that.
Boom, yeah. The only reason it wasn't my toughest season is my actual son played for me his senior year on that Lake Region team, and he's been a winner his whole life, always won. But his senior year to have to go 0-10 and coming so close to winning, watching him go through that and watching him trying to lead, and because he knows how to win, but just watching him trying to get everyone around him trying to think like he thinks, and just seeing him go through that was pretty tough. Just as a father,
that's hard.
Watching him do that, but it makes him tougher. He's tougher now. He's a dad, and I'm a granddad now. Just going through all that stuff, but if that wasn't there, then yeah, last year probably would have been my toughest season, watching the kids go through that. For sure. Was
watching the kids go through it the toughest part about it, over the losing, over anything else?
Yeah, I mean, me taking an L. Like, I can see the big picture.
You got wins under your belt, though.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And in your mind, I mean, just human nature, you always will. Well, look, I'm straight because I know I've done this. I know what I'm capable of, and I know I got a good staff.
Right.
But teenagers don't understand that. Teenagers just know they're losing, and then they get crap in the community. They get crap in the school. They've gotten booed at a daggone pep rally. I mean, like, to watch your players who put so much into this get treated like that is just tough. So the biggest thing is just, we got to move forward, and my staff just getting their mindsets turned around, is the biggest thing. And
I was going to say, I think for the state of the program now, we've done a pretty good job of completely transitioning the culture.
Yes.
From what it was this time last year to where we're at now, we're not installing the same play for 3 weeks anymore.
Right.
And reteaching. Mm-hmm. What do you think the overall state of the program is right now? Where are we headed?
I think one word would be, focus. I think last year, because they were young, because they were immature, they had a lot of issues focusing on, the task at hand, being in the moment, focusing on the details of what they're supposed to be doing, focusing in practice, So that was a big issue. But I think they see now that we have everything that we're supposed to have as far as the staff, as far as facilities, as far as, the experience now. So I think that one word will be focus, and getting things turned around, and just knowing that, okay, now the culture is like, you come in and you work. Like, there's no dicking around in the weight room. There's no playing outside, and in between plays and talking when the coach is talking, or, if you see someone do something in a drill 5 times in front of you, you're not going to go and make that mistake. So I think having a little more pride they have about themselves, and a lot more focus has really helped turn their corner from a transition year to, okay, now we have some goals we can meet year.
Right. And for those that don't know, we did go 0-10 last year. We lined up in the spring against a team that we knew was also 0-10, but very talented for an 0-10 team. Yeah. And we somehow managed to pull that win out when I'm not going to say we didn't expect to win. It was just more of, let's kind of see where we're at and see what's going on. Where do you think that came from? Was that from the culture change? Was that
was definitely a good litmus test, because, I mean, Southeast was, I mean, they're still Southeast.
Both the running backs are bigger than you.
Honestly, they had probably about 11 kids that would have started for us. If you just look at, from body to body. But I think our kids, they made a decision. And I guess I could, attest it to culture, whereas, they're sick of knowing that the stupid mistakes not being focused are the reasons why we were losing. And we're going to go out there tough, or we're going to be focused. We're going to be able to go on 2. We're going to be able to do our job. That was a huge reason why we were able to come out with that win, for sure.
And you've mentioned the staff multiple times. You've told us that this is one of your favorite staffs.
It is.
One of the higher-end staffs you've ever had. What do you think the biggest difference is between this staff's ideals and maybe some of your past staffs, or even other staffs in the county?
Right. In the past, one thing with staff is sometimes you just never have enough. So many guys are doing so many roles. So that's been one issue in the past. Another thing in the past is sometimes you have a staff that they kind of want to do things their way, and you have to fight through that, whereas, our staff now, everyone, like, no one has egos. Everyone is just trying to do whatever it takes to win.
Right.
And everyone they just work so hard, and they put in so many hours, and they just love on the kids, and they just do they do a better job, my staff now, than my staff has done with forming relationships with kids.
Right.
And nowadays with kids, if you don't have a relationship with them, if they don't want to play hard for you, or if they don't want to focus for you, if they don't want to show up for you, they're just not going to do it. Or they're going to give you a half-ass effort. So my staff this year has done just a bang-up job on forming relationships and making these kids want to show up for them. That's the difference.
That's huge.
Yeah.
And I kind of slept on that early on, but it's something that I do naturally. But I could see a lot of old school cats. They're not hearing all that.
Yeah, and like I mean, just shout out to you, the stuff you do with the group chats, with the little shorts, videos, and stuff like that. Like, and all the little things that these kids care about that I'm too old to know how to do, or even do. I mean, just that is just so huge, and the kids just they feed off that. They feed off that energy, and then they want to play for you. So now you can get in their ass in practice because they know there's so much love. And the fact that you and a couple other guys do that, it means the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. We got y'all. And quick break, that way he can reset the cameras, and then we'll knock out this second half. But yeah, we're actually making pretty good time so far too. Ain't we, James? Hit the button. Boom, 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 and we're back. Time to close it out. Got a few more with the big boss man. Obviously, his phone has been ablaze. Mother Nature is pissed that I'm taking up so much of Stokes' time.
I wonder how many texts I'm getting. Coach, are we still going to practice?
Coach, we got a meeting,
like,
Coach.
Dude, it doesn't rain in the weight room.
Which one of them said it yesterday? I'm not going to snitch on him because I remember now who it was.
Yeah.
When we're out on the field yesterday, it started to rain. One of the kids goes, "Oh, I was doing rain dances all day. I was praying for this." And I'm like, "What you mean you was praying for this? You want to be out here?" Because in 5 to 6 years, when you're talking about football and you're watching football, you'll be like, "Dang, them coaches, they weren't that bad.
Yeah.
They just love being out there."
Exactly.
But either way,
it always happens like that. Like you'll see.
Yeah.
3-4 years down the road, you'll run into one of them in the mall, and they'll just pour their hearts out to you, man.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, why couldn't you think like that when you were playing for me?
Where was this?
I know, right?
On varsity. But outside of the coaching and your responsibilities at the school, you're a natural born hustler. So you're usually working like 6, 7 other side hustles. What are your main extracurricular activities?
It's so crazy, man. And that's another thing you pick up. I don't know if it's from up north, but just being kind of grown up in a city. I know you got it from being, down in Miami and stuff. But I guess, sorry.
But I don't want everybody to start coming from my throat talking about Sun City from Miami. Nah.
Sorry, no, you're right. But that definitely, from a city type. Yeah. But anyway, like one big thing I do, I learned earlier to get into real estate. So I got a couple Airbnbs, and those keep me busy, man. I don't manage them. My wife does a good job managing the money and the bookings and all that stuff, but I'm basically Mr. Fix It.
I was gonna say, I remember hurricanes.
I'm always running around. You might see a friggin' dishwasher in the back of my van, and it's always lawnmowers in there, cutting grass, fixing AC, shop vacs.
Yeah.
I mean, all types of just silly stuff that go wrong, whether you're a homeowner. So now you got, a few of them you got to deal with. So,
right.
So that's one thing I do, as a side hustle. Next thing I do, I came off of Wall Street. So I got back into trading a little bit, and I do it very much as a small retail, scale, nothing big, just try to make some extra ends. So I do that, and I have a couple people under me that I manage their portfolio, and I get a piece of that. So I do that. But like I said, very, very small, just because this keeps you so busy.
Yeah.
Doing all that stuff. And then even this summer, my wife is in real estate. She's a loan officer, whatever. And obviously, that's just, that whole market's been down.
Yeah.
So just to kind of make some extra ends, man, I picked up a side hustle as a freaking headhunter job, for executives, so all that stuff, along with,
that's sales.
Freaking, so sales all day, doing that. But actually, that was kind of fun. I hadn't done sales in so long, so just to freaking hammer people, and make people feel stupid when you're talking
when it's not full time, it's fun.
Yeah.
When you get
full
to
time, it's
do
not fun.
sales in little bursts,
right?
I love it. Get off on it, just boom, boom, boom.
Right.
But then once it becomes a thing for a while,
well, if it was something I had to depend on, it would get old real fast. Or real fast. So, but yeah, man. But just always hustling, man, and just all those entrepreneurs out there, man. Just don't stop. Just keep working smart. And just keep finding the different resources, different streams of income, because it's definitely out there. There's probably way more that I could be doing, but I'd rather give my everything to my kids and my coaches, but
right.
But cool.
Well, how do you manage to keep a cool head with all that? Because I have trouble keeping a cool head with my hustling and dealing with just the kids. The kids get under my skin every once in a while. You get to deal with the parents too.
Yeah,
auntie,
man. Dude,
uncle talking about stop hugging them.
Man, when we get off this, there was a parent up here last night. I got a story for you.
Oh man, not me, right?
But no. You were good. You were good. No, good. But I mean, I guess to keep a cool head, one, I shout out, I was, to God. I mean, just being a Christian and just knowing that He's got my back no matter what, and things are always going to work out, as long as I'm trying to do the right thing. And even if I don't, as long as I keep trying to do the right thing, even if I screw up, I know He's got me, So, and then the second part of that is just knowing that, I mean, you can only do your best. You can only do your best, and if you're really giving everything you got, and just trying to stay organized is a big thing. So I spend about 15, 20 minutes at night, even when I'm friggin' falling asleep at my desk or whatever. But I make sure I get the next day organized. I make sure I have practice plans. I make sure, my whatever I'm doing with stocks that day, I get my price levels and stuff ready for when I buy and sell for people. And I get with the wife and find out what's going on, with the Airbnbs. What do we have to do? And she's usually on it anyway. She already gave it to me anyway. So, but being organized is huge, when you got so much going on. But just knowing that, I try to do things right, and good things happen to good people, and things will work out, so just, I'm not going to worry about what I can't control.
Facts.
That's just what it's going to be, so that's kind of how I try to keep, I wouldn't say a cool head, but a cooler head.
Cooler head. Yeah, cool-ish head.
Yeah, coolish head. Yeah.
So then for me, I've learned over the last year specifically, since I started here actually, that I have to give myself time to charge in between. I have to, even if it's just a day where I don't work on anything. I don't work on podcasts. I don't work on practice stuff. I don't do anything. Yeah. What is your reset time, or do you have any sort of window you get that? It almost feels like yours would be more just spending time with your daughter. She's like your reset.
Like when I get to hang out with my kids, like I got three. I got two from a previous marriage, two sons. My oldest son, I kind of talked about earlier. Yeah. He's doing great. He's kind of running on cruise control now. Yeah. My younger son is special needs.
Yeah, he's the man.
So he's awesome. So any chance I get to spend time with him, and then I have a younger daughter from my marriage now, and there's about a 13-year difference, from her and my boys. So just spending time with the kids, spending time with the family, having fun. I mean, this summer was really cool, man. Got to see a bunch of family I haven't seen in a while, and just resetting with them, and just, sharing, old stories and stuff like that. So I would say definitely family times, more specifically time with the kids, is there, because I'd say one thing I learned, talking to the older guys, the older coaches, like, you give so much time to other people's kids, and it can pass you by your own kids, so, and I'll tell you, as a young coach, I made that mistake. As a young coach, before my son was playing football and playing with me, so many hours, and it probably separated us a little bit, but I caught it in time to get it all back.
Right.
You know, so if anything to young coaches out there, don't forget your friggin' kids.
Yeah.
You know, for sure.
You have a family too,
exactly,
brother.
Yeah.
Then before we let you get out of here, any pro tips for all the cold-blooded hustlers, cold-blooded entrepreneurs out here, aside from don't stop and do the right thing?
Like I said, you know, I mean, organize. Like be organized, you know, and friggin' talk to people who are in the know. Like, don't try to figure things out for yourself. You know, find someone who's doing something, who's successful, and find out how they're doing it. You know, don't try to learn from someone who says they're doing it. Someone who is doing it, you know, don't just go and watch YouTubers do this or that. You know, you don't know where they're coming from. Find someone whose cold hard facts is successful, and see if they'll mentor you. Like if someone is willing to mentor you into something, do it, because that is gold. That will cut the learning curve so much in anything, in any space that you're trying to be entrepreneuring.
Right.
For sure.
And again, not those YouTube hustlers, not those fake guru nonsense dudes, because most people on the internet are lying.
Exactly.
Go straight to the source and figure it out.
100%.
I'm with it.
All right.
So make sure you guys follow the podcast at Szn3ep1. Make sure you follow Hollins Football at Hollins Football.
Yeah.
That's what I made it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
If you're on there talking,
It's
you're
not
talking to
hard to
me.
find.
Yeah, we're on there somewhere. We're also on Twitter, all that other stuff. Stokes, thank you. Any closing statements for everybody?
Man, just follow us this year. I really think we're going to put a good product on the field. We're very senior heavy. I'm really excited for these kids, man. Excited for our coaches. I can't wait. I can't wait to get in those pads, and the kids are excited. You know, so come watch us. Go Royals.
Go Royals. Like my dog Javon Baker said, get your popcorn ready. I make people in wheelchairs stand up.
Yeah.
All righty. Bonk, bonk, bonk.
Long live Chief.